Hi, team. This is George. Uh, we're in week 5. Can you believe that? So we're over halfway. I appreciate all the focus and purposeful effort you've been putting towards our class. I know that this isn't the only thing that's tugging on your time for within life. So I appreciate all the focus effort that you've been putting in this. The discussion questions have been going deeper than this top superficial level. We've been diving down deep into those discussions. I hope you've been getting something from them because they've been very well thought out and very focused responses to the discussion. So I appreciate that. Let's jump into week 5. This week, it's all about behavior. Everything that we're going to look at today is about behavior. And the first definition of learning that I ever received as a trainer was, and you can probably finish this before I get it started, change in behavior. That was the definition of learning that we used for training. And this is still a decent definition today uh, because as we look at behavior, it's a very measurable thing to see. If we see somebody changing a behavior like twisting a bolt left instead of right, right instead of left, whatever it may be, those are all behaviors that we can easily uh, measure. So that, and when our objectives are well written, guess what? Those behavior measures are right in, so we can look at that. Now, why is it important? Why do we care about behavior? Well, because from the perspective of your executives and a lot of folks, performance, remember, performance equals behavior and results. So the outcomes, behavior and outcomes. So, and level 3 for our assessment is behavior, and the level 4 is outcomes. So those speak directly to performance. Behavior speaks directly to performance. That's why it matters a lot. So as we look at these behaviors, are those behaviors changing, and do those behaviors change the outcomes that we're looking for? So you can kind of see the process that this will go through. And why do we care once again about behaviors, and why do we care about performance? Well, if you have behavior and the outcomes going directly to performance or results, you can use those as metrics. So you can visibly show measurable things that are making a difference. So that's what a lot of times people want to be able to see. They want to be able to see those things that they can measurably see. They want to be made believers, if you will, out of what we're doing for assessment. So they want to know that. They want to believe that training is making a difference, and what we're doing in training is making a difference. So that is why the behavior is so important. And next week, we get into the level 4. Week 6, we get into level 4 and ROI. So we'll be able to take that and we'll be able to move backwards from ROI behavior. And we can just kind of see the way everything is set up and put into motion as we put this into design, because the bottom line is, if you're a designer, you want to start building these in as you go, and we'll get deeper into that in week 6. So let's take a minute and just jump into the discussion question. We only have one this week, so this is a great opportunity to start jumping into our assignment, but I'm not going to talk about that quite yet. Discussion 5, level 3. This week, one discussion question. Don't delay. All that good stuff. Now we're going to read, and then you're going to look within the different cases they describe using the level 3 tools. Focus on the perceptions of the degree-specific behaviors have changed. So how much have these behaviors changed? So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to dive in. I don't want to give up too much on this at the moment, because I appreciate what you have to say about it, because the multiple perspectives we have in class give a whole lot of different meaning to this discussion question. So, and we're going to provide tools. So suggest tools and other methods to measure level 3 data go beyond perceptions, because quite often people mistake perception for reality. So is sometimes perception reality? You bet, because if we think something, oftentimes that's what ends up being reported and everything else. So we have to be very clear on our tools that we use so we can physically measure, so we can actually measure whatever behaviors we are looking at. So that is hugely important. And then let's take a look at our assignment. And I just happen to have it right here. The the grading and consideration. So I believe everyone's read through our evaluation plan. This is a critical piece to the plan, our project description. I don't need to read that for you. You can read that. And then as we go up, goals and scope, grading considerations. These here are what we will be looking at as we grade because they talk directly with the rubric. That's going to be down here. There we go. Identification of evaluation goals and scope, description. So as you go through this, these can be your headers. So if you need a time saver, feel free to use those as headings. Sorry, not headers, headings. These should all be level 2 headings. And another thing that you could look at if you're looking for a time saver is when we're identifying, you don't have to make this look like an APA document. It all needs to be written in APA style, but it needs to be written from the perspective of the people you are presenting this to. Who's going to be reading this document? So you can actually tailor your audience. So make it an audience that you may actually have to present something to, and then see if what you create would speak to them. Because a lot of times, how we create a document and how it looks is going to speak to the people looking at it just as much as the content inside. So we have to make it so they want to go in and look at the content. That may seem a little counterintuitive, but when you start creating documents from perspective of what the other people want to see, you'll notice that people actually start reading them more often. Because one thing, especially when I'm working with clients and subject matter experts, I always work from the perspective of they're not going to read it unless they're enticed to read it right off the bat. So it's important to really think about your audience as you're building this in. And our executive summary, so that one's going to be an executive. Sorry, that's going to be our executive summary is going to be key because you want to boil down your important steps. A lot of times when people write executive summaries, they think that a lot of different details and things have to be in there, but you just want the key findings that's going to grab that person and help them want to read. It's kind of like writing an abstract. You don't want to put too much detail in there, but you want to put enough of your key findings so it sparks people interest to read the document that you wrote. So think of it from a perspective as you're doing it for someone that you are working for, someone you will actually present to. And as we look here in our assignments, that's it. Week 6, we're going to be looking at ROI. So any questions, please just give me a call. And we are having a live session tomorrow. Just click on George's virtual office to join. The time is in the announcement. So we're going to be having it. I want to make sure I tell you the right time in the video, 5 o'clock. Okay. So 5 o'clock tomorrow, we will have a live session. Feel free to come in with any questions, comments, anything else you'd like to, because these are fun, interactive sessions, not just me talking. So let's have a fantastic week.